the Football Pod on Off the Ball in partnership with AIB. Proud supporters of the AIB All-Ireland Club Championships for men's football, hurling, ladies football and camogie, because we believe support is what gets you the life you're truly after.
How's it going? And you're very welcome back to the Football Pod with Paddy Andrews and James O'Donoghue. A week is an awful long time in football. The Ghaeltacht boys, the Glenullin boys, the Ballymacelligot boys and the lads from Clare Rogue, they had was 8 days to get ready for their All-Ireland Club finals, and what we were left with were two Kerry teams coming out on top, and we're going to get back to that in just a moment. James O'Donoghue, Paddy Andrews, how have your weeks been?
Fantastic, Tom.
Very good.
Handy week. Quiet week. Nice to get back on the health buzz. You know, a nice healthy eating, meal prepping, no drinking, exercise.
Lovely.
It makes some difference. I feel different now this week than I did last week.
What's your main resolution, Jimmy?
I'm going to try and cut down on the old social media side of things. The old doom scrolling.
And how are you doing that? Go on, give us tips. Everyone could do it. That. Come on, how are you doing it? Leave the phone in the car? Or
But to be fair, I did leave my phone in a friend's car for 2 days. That as a good start. It's like
that's good. Cold turkey. Yeah.
It is my phone. So that's a good start. And
nice. That'd be a good one.
I delete the apps all the time, but then I just download them again straight away.
I have to
reverse.
I have to watch TikToks and send them to James now as WhatsApp videos if I want to send them a video.
TikTok, lads. I've never gone on it. Thank God.
You
were hooked on it, Jimmy.
It's awful, but it's so addictive. It's insane.
It's terrible.
Insane.
Yeah. You send me the most random videos on it. I don't even think you
mean. Be posting dances. Himself and Schiefer would be doing the trendy dances, and they'd have Bailey as well.
No. Get out of that.
Tommy, just while we're live here, you just made a few bob, Tommy.
Let's not talk about that. That's my New Year's resolution. James, I'd like to hear that. Paddy, have you had a similar week? Because I don't know, like life.
Very lovely week.
Beautiful.
I did. Yeah. I had a very, very, very quiet Christmas. We had a hectic build up to it.
Yes.
And I was only doing very little light work this week. Actually took a couple of extra days off. But I'm back in full time tomorrow morning, so the party's over. But no, what was I similar to Jimmy? Like I would, what were we doing? A bit of training this week. Didn't do a lot of training. Had a bit of an operation before Christmas.
Okay.
Actually doing a bit of running, which is something I absolutely fucking hate. Like, and the bike cross ski is always gives those boys a shout out. 3 or 4 of them, and a bit of weights.
Jesus Christ, you were flat to them.
Running flat on that train. Yeah. I did the weights, lads, right? This is pathetic. I was doing a bit of an L bench press. So I'm like, no matter what age you are and you're in the gym, you do the bench.
Yeah.
And I used to bench a little bit. Like, it wasn't bad. Like,
it's a mental thing, isn't it?
And I was benching 60 kg. Like fucking chicken wings there. On Monday or Tuesday. And I swear to God, like the next day my shoulder was fucked. It was like 60 kg. Used to warm up with like 100 a few years back. You're such a little weasel when you stop playing.
It's not how quickly you lose it in the gym, isn't it?
It's unreal, isn't it? It takes months to fucking gain it. And then literally I was embarrassed lifting the fucking things. But so I was doing a bit of that this week. I'm just saying, no gargles now. I wouldn't have gargled. You wouldn't drink much in January, would you? Does anyone drink in January?
No, we've gone to the cinema twice in the last week. We've gone to see. Now we haven't gone to see Saipan yet because I read Kevin Kilban's review and he wasn't too happy about somebody in actors. He said it's still worth watching.
Would you go and see it? Are you going to go and see that?
I am going to go see it, but I decided to go see Hamnet first and The Housemaid. We said we give the two of them a go first. Two good movies, both.
Had you read the book? Had you read The Housemaid?
But I might go read them because I have a memory. I'll forget everything. If it comes to Gaelic football, I can read the
Ted Lasso.
Hamnet had a serious impact on me last night. Oh, lads, you had to be ready for it. But Killarney's the pride of Killarney, Jessie Buckley, is in the mix for a Golden Globe and Oscar. She's in the talk for all of it.
Hey, they're on tonight.
You must be very proud of her down there because she's absolutely extraordinary with Paul Mescal. Yeah,
she is. She was, I'd say, a year ahead of me in school. She was in the the Prez in Killarney, I think. Just the girls' school. We were in the same, obviously, the boys' school, and they were in the girls' school. But she was always kind of famous, even at that age. Like, you knew she was going to go. You knew she was going to go. Serious
She had a couple-
True what, like?
bubbliness.
Famous through like
Confidence.
plays or what? At that age, like?
Yeah, singing, acting.
Okay.
And then she
So
got
show
when we were in
business.
college. She was on this show
Yes.
for not Broadway, but what's Broadway in the UK?
Yes, it was the play
West
Nancy
End.
in. It was
Yeah,
play,
the West End.
West End.
Yeah.
For the West End, and she was sensational, but she lost the final. But I'd say they knew she was too big for that. So
Oh, was that the BBC show?
Be better fit.
Yeah, Andrew
Was that the
Lloyd
BBC
Webber.
show?
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Denise Van
Technicolor,
Houten.
Joseph's Technicolor Raincoat.
Schiefer played it for me during the week. It was I'd Do Anything was the name of the TV show. It was actually a good show, and it's on YouTube. All of Jessie Buckley's highlights on it. But yeah, if you watch it back, actually,
one of this.
Yeah,
She's not winning the
I know.
fucking Golden Globe anyway. There you are.
Exactly. Yeah, she's
Oh,
not
Jessie.
But she.
Career, what club was Jessie? What club was Jessie Buckley? See, it was Crocs.
Legion.
Is that true?
There's just class coming out of Legion, left, right, and centre.
Is that true, Jimmy?
wait.
Are we going to get
What
like a
place?
defamation case here?
I'm actually not sure, but I'm going with it. I'm pretty sure it's Legion.
Yeah, okay. We'll ask her. We'll ask her. Next time we get Paul Mescal and Jessie Buckley on for an interview together.
Yeah, we need to get him on.
Mescal's a big fan of the show now.
He is, and he'll be delighted to have seen Kildare rack up their biggest win in a long time over the Dubs in pre-season. But we'll get to some of that trend later on from some of the pre-season games. James, the talk of Legion there, they caught my eye during the week. They got a little mention from Darrow Canada. I'm not sure if you saw that, but An Ghaeltacht and the likes of Dingle and Ballymacelligot and all the clubs that were in Turin and Easky and the Hurling and Upper Trustramban from Tipperary, they were all trying to raise money in the last couple of weeks and to kind of fund their journeys to Croke Park, and it obviously costs a lot of money to run a club that have gone on an All-Ireland run with all the benefits that go with it. But Darrow Canada had a big shout out for clubs like Killarney Legion who have lent the Field of the Reens to the clubs in West Kerry to train there, because there isn't any lights or floodlit pitches that are suitable out in West Kerry or many of them anyway. So
the Theatre of Dreams, as
yes,
we call it, terrain.
Yeah.
We had Ghaeltacht training there, and we had Dingle training there, both All-Ireland finalists, one winner already.
What that's a trek though, isn't it? For training. Is that that's an hour drive, like?
But like, their lads are probably all in Cork and working, places in Killarney. It's stopped on the way back west. Like, it's another hour past Killarney. So if you are driving, you're getting out of the car there like a board if you're driving all the way there, like so.
Yeah,
Killarney suits.
Ghaeltacht got the job done today. God, it was a tough watch, that game. It was a throwback to, I suppose, some of the games
as they say.
We got used to watching. James, I irked a lot of Kerry fans who seem to think that I have a problem with Kerry football. I don't know where that's coming from, but I had the temerity. I had the temerity to say that An Ghaeltacht are trying to strangle the life out of the game early here. They've had 3 spells of over 2 minutes of slow possession. They're 2 points to 1 ahead of Glenullin. That wasn't necessarily a slight on An Ghaeltacht. I was just an observation of how they were playing. They can obviously mix it up. I've seen them against Salins. I saw them against yourselves, the Legion, when they had a big comeback against you, I think in the second half with the wind that day. But in the Kerry Championship on their run here, they're a team that can mix it up. But from the manner in which Glenullin set up, the game ends up 12-6. It's 9-1 at half time. Jesus, their ultras with their vuvuzelas have more of an impact on the game, unfortunately, than the Glenullin footballers themselves. They'd have been gutted with how they performed, right?
Yeah. Look, when it's the winning team, you can't necessarily judge the winning team too harsh in how they played, because they're reacting to what was put in front of them, and they came with a plan and won the game. Like, finals are for winning. We say it all the time. If they had to hold that ball for 60 minutes and they won 1-0, they would do it. So the way Glenullin set up, it was defensive. And you're talking about 2 teams here in All-Ireland final. They were nervy. Like Ghaeltacht probably held on to the ball a little bit too long in some of those passages. Brian Begley was the one kind of trying to break the line. But I mean, at the end of the day, they worked it perfectly. They kicked 9 points in the first half and played a textbook first half. Rory Begley was outstanding. Obviously, he did the damage on the scoreboard. But you still had Cathal Begley, Ian O'Connor, running the show. They just looked so in control. They looked a class above. I mean, there was never any doubt in my mind after about 15 minutes they were going to win the game.
Yeah.
Second half,
Brilliant
obviously, they didn't
performance.
play.
Yeah. No, Tommy,
Say
you
it-
just.
Say that again,
I thought
Paddy.
it was a brilliant performance.
Oh, from
Absolutely
An Ghaeltacht.
brilliant performance from
I'm in no way
Not the
dismissing.
most exciting, but in
No.
terms of, as you said, Jimmy, total control, composure. Would have known the challenge they were going to face with Glenullin. The danger of playing that way is if you go behind, that's the risk with it, that you have to kind of try and change your entire game plan and try and come out. And Glenullin just didn't do that. Whether it was the occasion, maybe got to some of the guys, when you're trying to, a team is keeping the ball as well as An Ghaeltacht do. They're so composed. Typical Kerry, really technically very good all over the pitch. And we've all played in games, lads, at all levels. If a team is keeping the ball, it's fucking horrible to play against. And particularly in Crow Park, when you're trying to get that ball back, you have to have hyper energy. Everyone has to press up. This idea of sitting back, which was maybe what Glenullin's default style of play is.
They sat back, yeah.
You can't do that. Or you're going to have. There's nothing wrong with a Ghaeltacht keeping the ball for 2 or 3 minutes. Why wouldn't they? And it's just, we know they can play other ways as well, but in terms of the challenge that was presented to them, they have technical quality, everyone on the same wavelength, and whatever it was about Glenullin, just no energy or spark. Maybe players not on the same wavelength, but if 13 players are pressing trying to get the ball back, you're still fucked. Because there's always, if one guy isn't doing it, and this is why it's so hard to play against. It's not great to watch as a spectacle, but it's very effective. If one guy sits off, there's always a spare man. And that's why, like you say, for a long passage of play, there was only going to be one winner here.
Yeah.
But from a Ghaeltacht's perspective, what a brilliant performance on the biggest day. Not great to watch for the neutral, but Derek Canada, Fergal O'Shea, Aidan McGarrett, all those players, absolutely delighted with that. They've controlled that game from start to finish. And total domination for the whole game. Brilliant.
I agree, Paddy, that Glenullin sat back, right? But if you think about it, they conceded 12 points. Like, defensively, they can't, like, it set the tone of the game, but they didn't do that badly defensively. But in attack, like, they had so many chances.
But they were never in the game, Jimmy. You know what I mean? They conceded 12 points, but they just didn't have the ball.
No, I know,
they'll feel that game past them.
They had the ball.
They only took 12 points, which isn't bad. I hear you.
But there were times when they were attacking and they were 25, 30 yards out. If they steadied up, got an angle and chipped it over, there was 10 opportunities to do that. If they got 3 of them, it might have been 9-5. They're in the game. But like every attack, they were almost playing it like rugby, trying to run it into the goal. And the Ghaeltacht, honestly, I played against the Ghaeltacht this year, right? Physically, they are outstanding. They honed you. They're playing for that badge. They're playing for each other. They're stripping you of the ball and they're gone the other way. So I think they played completely into Ghaeltacht's hands. And Ghaeltacht had that little touch of class up front, especially with Rory Begley and Conor Begley. That was just too much for him.
Yeah, the Glenullin manager after the game, lads, it was put to him in the kind of tunnel of Crow Park, or the press room in Crow Park, about their kind of setup, their style, the fact that An Ghaeltacht had about 75% possession, and he kind of bit back. He was like, stats don't win games. Possession doesn't win you a lot of games in football. We've lived off scraps in other games and we've come through them. They had more possession, but we had more shots. We had more goal chances, and our shooting just didn't function today, and that's why we lost the game. I know I might sound a wee bit pissed off, but that possession doesn't win you games. I'm really annoyed at ourselves that we didn't do ourselves justice. But I think, look at I don't know, it's only a year of evidence, but that zonal defence, that dropping off the way that they do, it hasn't worked for a couple of teams that have tried to do it in big games, especially in Crow Park, lads. Are we going to see the end of it, or are teams going to still try and set up like that?
They weren't.
I don't know if you see the end of it.
So they weren't in trouble defensively. I don't think defensive. Fair enough, they sat back and they set the tempo for themselves. But like, there was one stage they flashed up on the screen scoring efficiency, and they were 9%.
Yeah,
9. Like, that's where the game is. You're only as good as how many times you can kick it over the bar. Like, so I know we're saying they sat back or whatever, but it was in attack that they were struggling.
Yeah,
that's my opinion of it. And Juventus is more in attack.
Yeah, they're a team that have scored 17 goals in their last 6 games. Remember, they were banking on getting 1 or 2 of them early on and setting up and rattling and going, but it didn't happen. James, for a club that you'd be well aware of, they've got a really storied history. They've only got 181 adult club members. there was a win like this. We saw how emotional Darrow Canada was last week, speaking to Cartuck Van Brannock after the bet Salins in Porky Queeve. But there's a win like this banished the heartbreak and the ghosts of previous defeats, like that famous final with two of the smallest clubs on brilliant journeys of Caltra and An Ghaeltacht for the Senior All-Ireland in 04, even in 2018 when the Moy of Tyrone and Sean Kavanagh bet them in an intermediate semi-final. Does this wash away those defeats, do you think, for a club like that? Is it a bit cathartic?
Well, I suppose those defeats will be far from their minds now. Do you know that they're celebrating an All-Ireland win, and it's an incredible time for the club. Like, I'm so jealous that they get to experience that and go up to Croke Park and win for their club in Croke Park with everyone behind them, and it's just unbelievable. Obviously, in 2004, they won. I think they won 2 county championships. They were an unbelievable team with the Shays and everything. They got to the All-Ireland final. I think they lost All-Ireland semi as well. And then in 18, with the intermediate, they lost that semi-final. That's fair enough. But they're not going to be thinking anything about that now because they're All-Ireland intermediate champions and thoroughly deserved as well. It's great for the players. And, like, even the semi-final win, I'd say the enjoyment they took from that, the fact that it went down to the wire, it came down to that 2-point free from Eamon O'Connor. Like, even those kind of moments unite a club. It's like they would have been talking about that. They'll talk about that for forever. And the fact they go up to Croke Park and win and take home a trophy, like, that's going to be with everyone for their whole lives. So I suppose it does, you know, make everyone forget, I suppose, although those wounds are probably very deep for some of the fellas who tagged out in Croke Park in 2004.
Yeah, Padraig O'Shea captaining them to it. Maybe we should have set up camp this week in Ventry and Paddy O'Shea's lads and recorded the Football Pod Club down there. That could have been one.
Could be the great couple of weeks down there. Like.
It could be. Now, they were saying afterwards, James, that this might give Undangan Coosh Dingle that extra bit of bravery to go out and try and get the job done next week. So we'll come back to that in a few minutes. But there was another Kerry club in action that I want to briefly touch on. Ballymacelligot became the 12th Kerry side to win the Junior Club All-Ireland out of 24 editions. So Fossa and Naguel in recent years. Fanug and Ardfert were one of the first two to win it back in 04-05 and 05-06. It's only running since the turn of the millennium, this competition. An Ghaeltacht, by the way, the 8th of 22 editions of the Intermediate Club All-Ireland. So Kerry are top of both of those roll of honours. They're not top of the senior. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But they bet a Tyrone side today, Clogher Og, who probably had a couple of very interesting players on the field. They had an All-Ireland winner and Conor Shields, who was part of the Tyrone panel in 21. And Ciaran Bogue. I'm not sure that you catch much of Ciaran Bogue today, but this guy was very good for the losing side. He's been called in recently to Malik O'Rourke's side. He was full forward on a Tyrone under 20 panel in 22 that bet Kerry in that All-Ireland final with Rory Canavan and Kieran Daly. So they were beaten today. Jack Joy caught the eye for Ballymac. Dara Broderick in midfield and their captain Dara Keane as well. So a big win for them as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, Kerry teams are flying. If you look at Kerry, they're reigning All-Ireland champions, reigning junior champions, reigning intermediate champions, and touch wood, they have one more chance to create the clean sweep. And they have Jessie Buckley. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
And a Golden Glove. Why is it just throwing like an Oscar on top?
Imagine.
As well as all the club stuff.
Yeah, I'm not even going to come in with the fact that An Ghaeltacht, they're pretty much the senior team, right?
Well, they're a senior team now, but they weren't. Like, if you look at Ballymac are a brilliant football team in Kerry. They're actually playing in Division 1 of the County League.
That's my point. Yeah.
Do you say Ghaeltacht or Ballymac?
No, but both. As in, like, the Kerry structures has them. Do you know, I think it's going to correct itself over the next couple of years. I think they're adding more, and there's no relegation in junior.
Rigged, I think. Yeah, I think it's rigged.
Well, they've been knocking on the door in junior for a couple of years, and teams have beaten them, and you know they found it hard to get out of those championships. But then when they found their spark, they're after winning an Ireland, and deservedly so because they're brilliant side. But I thought that game was actually a far more enjoyable game to watch. It was kind of open. Both teams went at it. I thought a couple of the forwards on the Tyrone side were outstanding. That goal chance in the first half from
Ciaran Bogue.
I mean, phenomenal treble step dummy. But all through the game, he was so dangerous, brilliant player. And if that goal rattled the net, Ballymac were probably in trouble at that stage because the lead had been kind of cut down. But I must say, a very enjoyable game. But Ballymac looked very strong, you know, and they created chances very well. And inside
Yeah.
forwards taking on their men, getting shots off. It was just better football, I thought, in that game.
I know Ciaran Bogue is just to mention him, but like he definitely stood out today, and it's junior club football. But I had mentioned he'd been drafted in by Malachy O'Rourke recently, and the Tyrone under 20 side that he was full forward on, they bet Dingle-St Kerry side in the All Ireland final that year. Killian Burke, Sean O'Brien was on that team too. Do you reckon Ciaran Bogue, when he gets a bit of a break now, could break in and make an impact? Obviously, Tyrone are flush with young forward talents.
Yeah, I think he's shown as much as I've seen from any forward in the club scene. I suppose he looks like a fella who probably needs to maybe bulk up a little bit, because I think, like all those, Tyrone have just so many forwards of that size and stature that are just outstanding footballers. It's like they need some big fella stuck in the middle of them or something, just to win a ball or two for him. But the skill levels, the shimmies, the point taking, outstanding.
I wonder, is he benching more than 60 kg at the minute? That'd be a question for him. Paddy, we've got a senior club All Ireland final this weekend between St. Brigids and Dingle. This is going to be a good game, right? We're guaranteed a good game here, aren't we?
Well, the fact Dingle's last two games have been two of the games of the century. It's very hard to do it 3 times in a row. My fear is that we all went in expecting, I just go back to the All Ireland final in July as well, where the whole country is expecting this absolutely incredible matchup, and it didn't turn out to be that way. And then even just today's finals were a little bit off as well. Like we've been on so many times the last couple of years going through the club season pods, and we just said the last 10 minutes of every club match are nearly guaranteed to the wire, helter-skelter, cliffhanger finishes. And look, we've got that in 2 of the last Dingle games. But I think it will be a really good game. I'm just a fear with the final that it might not live up to what we're hoping to. But look, we said it last week after Dingle beat Cook, they're coming back against Ballymacelligot. It does feel like there's a bit of something extra behind them this year. But then you see what Brigids did to Scottstown up in Breffni Park as well. That was a really, really accomplished performance. They have a bit more experience of this. They probably should have got the job done against Glen a couple of years ago. Probably 4 points up with 5 minutes to go. So a lot of those players are back involved again. They'll feel they have their own score to settle. So look, I think it sets up a brilliant game. They've been 2 very, very good teams to watch. Dingle in particular have been incredible, but it's a really tough one to call. Probably leaning towards maybe Brigids just around that experience, but then Dingle just have had so many moments this year with the quality they have. You feel like there's a name of the trophy in there somewhere for them as well. So I think it sets up a brilliant game.
The Brigids wing backs, Rory Fallon and their joint captain Paul McGrath, have been so important for them throughout their campaign. I've seen them quite a bit. You'd imagine Brian Stack will end up closer to the square. He can obviously play out the field.
He's got to mark Gainey, hasn't he? Like
Paul, yeah.
If you're playing Dingle, Gainey's so critical to everything they do. I know they've other threats as well, the other Gainies, but he's the talisman for them. And he thinks Stack has marked so many in his job, whether it's with Brigids or whether it's with the Rossies as a man marker. And he's a leader as well. Now I know we got a bang the last day, and you can imagine by hook or by crook he's going to be on the pitch, but you get the sense he can go out there and go, I'm just going to forget about everything else. If I can take out Paul Gainey, you'd have to think that would probably win Brigids the game. Would that be fair, Jimmy?
Will it, James?
I think that obviously Gainey has been phenomenal. I'm just thinking about the Croke Park factor, Paddy, right? The way that's going to play so open in a club final. Like, I actually think that Brigids, they might need to mark 4 of the Dingle lads very, very tight. And I'm thinking Tom Sullivan will be really high up on the agenda for Brigids. Tom ran the when Power went off the field against Ballyboden. Tom just took it on, kick 6. Then the Croke Park thing is in my head for Conor Gainey and Dylan Gainey, because the legs, the pace, the kicking ability of both, I think, would be really hard to stop there. And I think that both might get trigger happy in a good way in Croke Park. I think they'll take shots, be willing to miss, just keep going. I think if that's the advice I was given from the Dingle dressing room, would be keep shooting. I think that they will create lots of chances. And then Gainey just needs to do what he does and make every decision right and bring the lads into it. But after watching the Scottstown and Brigids game, I don't know, is the Brigids full back line as stable as it could be? I think that's why Dingle could make hay. I mean, Jack McCarron got a couple of backdoor cuts. He a little bit of good movement. They created a chance. They just didn't have enough help with McCarron to finish him off. But I think
doesn't that suggest to me that Stack will have to go back and mark game?
I know, but it's a bit like Kelly for Galway. Do you know when they're thinking, do I put him back in the full back line and take his attacking prowess, almost make that redundant and take away from our overall game?
I think you have to hear because there's such a discrepancy between if he doesn't go back, you feel Gainey could make hay. Not just Gainey, but and I agree. Like the space in a club game, I know it's still 15 players, but it's just there is more space. The guys aren't getting back as quick and filling those holes. You look at someone like Ben O'Carroll as well, who's really quiet. I'm a major fan of him and a really quiet final. Who picks him up on the Dingle side? I agree. Like Dingle aren't going to put Thomas Sullivan back there. They want Thomas Sullivan to really be the playmaker going forward as well, especially after that insane performance against Ballymacelligot and so. I know we're making lots of cases here. We're saying Dingle posed all the problems, but I actually think Brigids would probably win this one. I just think their experience, counter-attacking side as well. Anthony Cunningham was alluding to it, like they were very professional and how I know Scottstown weren't great, but they were very professional how they cut out begging out of the game. They've been around the block before as well. There's no doubt Dingle have superstars, but I don't know. I just have a feeling for Brigids in this one, lads.
I think you mentioned two fellas there, lads, Ben O'Carroll and Conor Gainey. And Mark O'Shea always says it, beware the Gosson who has a quiet semi-final in an All-Ireland final or a final. Conor, his shooting boots weren't on. He kept going and he played a big role in one of the key goals and kicked the score or two. And Ben O'Carroll only kicked the point and was whipped off for his brother, who kicked the kind of winner later on for Brigids, or the insurance score. So they're two lads we're keeping an eye on. The Tom O'Sullivan conundrum, right? Because clearly he was so integral in the second half and he's so adept at scoring. But what do you do when you're facing him? Because he's going to line out obviously with four in his back, probably in and around maybe the fourth defender who can mark up or can be free to go. Do Brigids typically play five forwards and have either started Senan Kilbride, who is a 40-year-old full forward who's just back playing his first championship campaign in 6 years, or they've started Mark Daly, who's more of a midfielder who got injured the last day. That six forward spot, do you end up putting a defender there, a kind of a runner, a tracker to go back and tag Tom Sullivan? Do you attack that front on, or what do you do with something like that?
Well, I'm just thinking back to a time that Jack McCaffrey was outrageous for Dublin, and we put Gavin White on him one year, and it did no one any favours. It took away from Gavin, and you could tell Jack McCaffrey was just still biding his time to go and to burst. My personal idea about marking a very attacking defender is put an attacker on him to keep him busy going the other direction. And then it's very, very much the case of hammer to hammer going the other way. It's like, it's a team job on him. It can't be just one man stopping him. But like, there's nothing better than if your man is going up the field, right, and he's having a bit of impact, and next thing you go down the other side and you swing over two, and you give him a little dunt in the chest and you go, I'm after picking two, baby. Like, it's just a great feeling. So like, I think that if you go defensive on a player like that, they're still going to be able to get the ball and run the show. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do there. But I'd be attacking players like that, but that would just be my idea.
Paddy,
Kevin Keegan live on the pod. Well, I hope they do what Jimmy's doing, because that means it's going to be a way better game. It's just like, we'll let you off and then we'll do damage on the other side. It's hard to know. Like, we get into this thing, lads, where you can't man-mark everyone. We've had this conversation so many times this season with teams playing against Kerry. We see the man-mark David Clifford and then you leave someone else off. There's the danger of, again, going back to the All-Ireland final, team leaving Paddy Clifford free. Do you leave someone? Tom Sullivan would have that type of impact on a game. I'm not saying he's going to be left off, but I think I'd be leaning towards what Jimmy's saying for a defender. Like maybe meet him come across the halfway line, but there's
Yeah.
other players that's in Brigids. And again, this is not the first time they're going to come up against quality halfbacks or threatening halfbacks. I think Anthony Cunningham's one of the most experienced guys, coaches in the country. It's an idea with, maybe let one of the other defenders have the ball, but if Tom Sullivan gets it and comes across the halfway line, we are after him. He's just not someone you want, particularly a 2-point scorer. He can be a threat that outside to the left. We know he loves it. I think they'll have a plan for him, but it might not be as rigid as with Paul Geaney. Geaney's going to stay inside the 21. You literally can't switch off for a second with him, whereas there's a little bit more leeway with someone like Tom Sullivan. But I don't think Anthony Cunningham or that Brigids team would be looking at, here's a guy coming up from defence kicking 6 points. I'd be amazed if they let that happen. They're just an experienced team. And like the flip side, whatever you're talking about, Mark O'Shea, someone who does have an incredible semi-final, is just bullseye for the opposition for the final. So it's just another intriguing part of it. And that's why there's brilliant players on both teams, which sets up, you get this, the last couple of All-Ireland club finals. There's been marquee players on the sides, and just hope it leads to a good game. Because like today was a bit of a damage grip.
Yeah. No, agreed. They're going to be belters. I think at this point of the week, I'm with Paddy, but the goal chances and Brigids at the moment.
On Brigids as favourites.
I'm very, very
not by much, but
narrowly on Brigids, but I just think as the game goes on, like Paul Geaney has said he's going to be fit, Brian Stack has said he's going to be fit, Mark O'Connor has confirmed he's going to be playing. It all matters on who's there and who's out there. But the goal chances, if Dingle can get as many, as James said, if Dingle can create as many goal chances as Scotstown did and take them, or take half of them, it's very hard to beat a team that is burying goals like that in an All-Ireland final. So it's going to be, I'm sitting on the fence, I think, for the moment. Okay, lads, this is the football.
Is there any danger of, we look at last year's final with Cool and An Ghaeltacht, where An Ghaeltacht just did not show up in the first half.
Yeah, they lost Derek Canavan early on, didn't it?
Yeah, they lost Derek, but even before that, and with Dingle, we know Brigids have been there. They have that experience literally just 2 years ago. Is there danger that with Dingle, Jimmy? They've had slow starts, most final, All-Ireland semi-final. It's just it's another thing.
Yeah, if Dingle went 10 down, they'd fight back. There's just something in them. Like, it's just a trait they have at the moment. They're fighting for each other. Like, I'd be shocked because I think these two teams are so evenly matched. I think Brigids are a savage side as well. Like, so well drilled. Everything is just nice and smooth. Right shots, right selection. There's nothing,
very solid.
They're not banking on any one avenue. They're so balanced. So I don't see either side coming out and pulling away, to be honest. I think this is going to be tit for tat. I agree with Tommy. I think the goal chances could be a thing. The space of Croke Park and the quality up front on both sides. Ben O'Carroll, I fancy to have a good game as well, because I said he's a quiet semi-final, but he's such a good player. And the big day, chance to win your club, something massive. There's definitely a dummy and a goal chance in him. If he hits the net, it could be his day. It could be Brigid's day.
Yeah, that was a bit of a inception analysis on the podcast there, because you were agreeing with me as I was agreeing with you about your analysis of the game. This isn't right, James. We're supposed to be at loggerheads when it comes to predictions and previews. And
when you're right, you're right. It's not often, so I give you the credit when you do say something.
Likewise. Okay, you're listening. But
I am nailing my colours to Dingle's mass this week. I think they're the better team. I think that I'm not saying they're a better team. It's 50-50 team-wise, but the journey Dingle have been on, for them, I just it's like their name is on the trophy. I think if they're in a meeting over the next couple of days and even the night before, it's like, lads, let's just look at the path we've been on, right? This is our year. Do not bloody leave this after you. We're gonna remember this for the rest of our lives. We have Mark O'Connor. He's probably getting on a plane tomorrow morning. Let's do it while we have everyone, and this is our last chance. So I think I can't see Dingle leaving it after him. I think they're going to do it.
Jimmy, what did Brigid say on the other side?
That's the thing.
We
that's
lost
a beautiful.
The final 2 years ago. Yeah. We hadn't won. We won and a half hands on the trophy.
Yeah,
Beautiful little soliloquy, James. But I do think that if Anthony Cunningham was to clip your little speech to Dingle there, it'd be more effective in the Brigids dressing room. It's written in the stars. It's Dingle, Brigids' journey, their story, as Paddy is saying. You know.
Hey, Tommy, I just for the record, I have a soft spot for Dingle. Obviously, I think anyone who's been to Dingle, whether going down on holidays with the lads, gone on the absolute piss, or gone down with the family for a more civilized trip, it's an amazing place. So I have a little soft spot for Dingle. I would have hoped that they'd win, but on the basis that we have to go and interview the winners, I do fear a fucking 11-hour round trip.
You want to go
I
to
thought it would have
Khartoum?
been handy shooting across the Rathfarnham over the M50 if Ballymacelligot didn't fuck it up. That would have been a lot easier. But I'd like Dingle to win, but I think Brigids might nick it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, okay.
And it'd be great for them as well, obviously. I'm impartial.
Comment in slightly separate to this from Ger Scully from during the week. Paul Gainey is probably the most underrated player nationally of the last 15 years. What a great player. Possibly was seen as second fiddle to other Kerry stars, but always had massive big game performances. Round 2017-ish, he was arguably the best player in the country, Jaron Mayo. Is that fair, that 2017 era for Paul Gainey? Obviously Dublin were strolling into their...
Underrated?
I don't think so. I think he's rated incredibly highly. But I suppose I know what he means in a way that, with Clifford and things, you'd be eulogising about them all together. Maybe Paul's so consistent that you almost take him for granted at times. And I agree with that 17. That spell of 2016-17, he had the bit between the teeth. I remember even in training, he was unbelievable, unstoppable. Really? I agree. I think he was definitely in the top 2 or 3 players in the country at that stage. So I would agree with that.
Okay, lovely. You were listening to the Football Pod of Paddy Anders and James O'Donoghue, who is brought to you every week with thanks to AIB, proud sponsors of the junior, senior and intermediate All-Ireland Championships in camogie, hurling, ladies football and football. We'll be back right after this talking a little bit more football as we get ready for the return of the inter-county game. Fellas, you're very welcome back to the Football Pod. Boys, we didn't even mention the fact that Manchester United have been hammering since we last recorded a pod. And we're back at it with Fletcher's in.
A managerial merry-go-round.
Yeah, we're after watching them. I don't know if you watched it, but I watched them lose an FA Cup game this evening. They drew with Burnley last week despite having 78 shots on target. They're going to bring in a new interim management team. I don't know, Paddy, are you looking for Ole to be at the wheel or not?
No, what an absolute fucking shambles. Absolute fucking shambles. This is a fella they binned who was literally, they couldn't get him out of the place quick enough after a 4-0 defeat to Watford.
He's nice.
Lovely. So we're all lovely fellas. They overlap. Roy Keane, they're all great lads. It's a shit show. I think Ineos are more full of shit than your man Woodward. Yeah. At least everyone knew Woodward was a complete spoofer. With Ineos,
Woodford didn't hide it. Yeah.
Show
bringing in Brailsford. They lost me with Brailsford.
Absolute disgrace. Bring back Dan Ashworth. Must they pay for him for a month?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm giving up on United, lads. And thank God the inter-county season is back in 2 weeks' time.
I know. Yeah. I take McKenna for United from Ipswich.
Okay, you just go in and take him. He's shown well. Yeah.
I don't know. What they've tried. Amaran was the young up and coming coach, and so that was fucking car crash as well. So I don't know. Look, can't get any worse, really, can it? 15th in the league, and then this year,
Yeah, just thought I'd mention it briefly as we segue into the pre-season trends, and I'm going to throw a couple of things at you because these things matter so much, but they actually don't really mean much at all. Tony Brosnan scored 115 today as Kerry put 127 past Waterford. Huge scoring for Tony Brosnan. It's not going to mean a huge amount to his season this year, but just thought that was worth mentioning. 127 to 1 point. I actually went to see Kerry play Clare in the first round of the McGrath Cup the other day. Very impressed with young Tomas Kennedy, full forward. Kerry weren't afraid to go direct to him. They had Kieran Donaghy on the line for the first time. James Costello, Jack O'Connor were there. So that was 2 wins for Kerry. They're playing Cork in the McGrath Cup final. Cork qualifying for the McGrath Cup final despite getting clipped by Limerick today by 5 points. James Naughton scoring 2-5. Limerick made 14 changes from their Tipperary defeat. So it was more of a full strength Limerick side. Cork made 13 changes. So I don't know how much we can read into this. Another trend that is very important. It sounds important, but it means absolutely nothing. Andy Moran's Mayo kicked more 2-pointers in 10 second half minutes today against Roscommon than Mayo kicked in their entire 2025 championship last year. They kicked 6 in the second half.
What were the conditions like in that match?
I'd say there was a wind. I didn't bother looking, to be honest. But,
there's a wind warning on the west coast, so I would imagine they would take that with a pinch of salt. If there's 100 an hour wind behind you, you're probably going to pull the trigger.
Yes.
I'd wait and hold judgment on if Andy has figured out the 2-point solution for Mayo until the National League kicks in. But you mentioned this pre-season tournaments, they've got a lot of coverage over the last while, whether they're going to be binned and they're brought back this year.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of space for them, but coaches are using them this year. You've said it there. To find players. 13 14 changes. That is the value of these competitions. I remember myself starting playing in O'Byrne Cup games where it was the biggest thing in your career to get a start. So you mentioned someone like Tony Brosnan to score 115 today. That is important for him to do that. Even though he's an established player and has been around the block with Kerry, there's a guy, and Jack O'Connor's looking at this going, who we need 2 or 3 new faces in our team if we're going to defend the All-Ireland or retain the All-Ireland title. Can't be the same 15 players. And Tony Brosnan's probably sitting there going, fuck. Towards the end of last season, he wasn't as important. He had a period in the middle where he was coming on for the last quarter and had been really effective and probably drifted out of it a little bit. He's looking to set a stall out. And it's important for the other guys like Young Kennedy. I seen Jack O'Connor. I was surprised he was kind of talking about him a lot.
He wasn't afraid to.
A lot of time and a lot of faith in this guy, which is important, which would be great for Kennedy to hear that. But for Tony Brosnan, he's looking going, I know this is a non-event game that no one is really going to remember outside within the Kerry camp in a couple of weeks' time, never mind months' time. But he's putting his hand up going, it's the 11th of January and I'm mad for road with a view to, I want to start the first 3 or 4 National League games. And while other guys are taking their time coming back. And that's what some players have to do with these tournaments. You know, That's the reality of it. You're not going to see the marquee guys. Lots of teams making lots of changes, but this could be the start of a major season for some of these guys. And you'd be surprised how many players kick off in the FBD League or the McGrath Cup or the McKenna Cup or the O'Byrne Cup, and all of a sudden they have the season of a lifetime. You know? So.
Yeah. Well, Cork, I can confirm, guys, that's very well put. And, I think we saw Cork are going to play Kerry in the McGrath Cup final. Galway are going to play Mayo in the FBD League final, I believe. So 2 bits of news from during the week. I caught up with Andy Moran and Porrick Joyce last week around the FBD League, and Porrick Joyce confirmed that Matthew Thompson lit up the championship last year, is off to Berkeley on Erasmus for the next 6 months, so he's going to miss pretty much the entire Connacht championship. He might be back for a Connacht final if Galway get there, but he'll probably be back for the All-Ireland series. He's bringing a size 5 with him. But he scored 2-6 in one of his last games, I'd imagine, before he jets off to California. And Andy Moran confirmed, I think we already kind of knew it, that Kobe McDonald is going to be part of his panel alongside a host of other youngsters. Dara Byrne is in there too, and a couple of others that have kind of caught the eye. So, panels are going to be cut down over the next little while, but they're definitely players that are in their plans and their managers over the next couple of weeks and months. In the O'Byrne Cup, we've got an O'Byrne Cup final, I believe, of Kildare against Westmeath. Shield final, Carlow against Wicklow, and I don't want to tell you who's in the McKenna Cup final because I'm waiting to hear which results get overturned later in the week, because we had 3 results null and void last week over ineligible players in the McKenna Cup. So I don't know. I know to take it more seriously up in Ulster, but I don't know if they are, because they're not keeping on top of their administrative rules when it comes to players. I don't know what's going on there. James, this doesn't really get your January never really gets your juices going, does it?
January, I suppose it depends. It depends on
How was that?
the position of the panel. Like, honestly,
it mattered to Jimmy once, Tommy. Jimmy was a young fellow once. January mattered. Many
the McGrath Cup got me my Kerry chance twice, really. Under Jack, he brought me in from McGrath Cup, and then when Fitzmaurice took over, and obviously everyone's position is up in the air, I had a very good McGrath Cup. So It definitely has its place. If you're given the chance, you still have to perform because you can do as much damage to your reputation or your position in the panel by playing poorly as you can, then you can gain by playing well. So,
Yeah.
someone like, who I'm thinking of now, someone like Paul Ganey, right, has kept fit. I know he's had injuries, but he's kept fit all through the winter. He's not going to have to do a mad pre-season. He can carry on nice and handy into the National League after a short break. I think it will suit Paul, the winter he's had. Whereas someone else like Tony Brosnan there, last year obviously went with Crooks all the way to the All-Ireland semi-final, had no break. He's someone who needed a break. He's freshened up this winter and is coming into January, so he's probably mad for road. So I suppose it depends on where you are in your career, what you did over a couple of years,
Yes.
and also how your body is. There's a couple of different avenues to it, but it definitely has its place.
Can I ask you, what was your favourite ever McGrath Cup appearance? Because I have one for you. I have one for you here.
Oh, I played a game with UL.
Yes.
Against UCC.
Yes.
And it was UCC. They were the bee's knees. They were this typical UCC all talking. Oh, God almighty. And we came down and obviously did the business,
Yeah. Michael Quinlivan scored 2-4 for UCC. Connor Cox scored 1-6 for UCC. But James O'Donoghue scored 110 for a Liam Kearns managed UL side. Paul White scored 2-2, but it was Jimmy who fired over the lead point for UL.
Come on.
2014.
14.
He was already an All-Star.
So that's actually why I said the carry on. I played with the college all the winter and then the McGrath Cup and then just played on in National League with no break, and it suited me at that time. So some fellas might get a bit of joy out of playing that time of year. Other fellas, it's the worst thing they could ever do.
The Irish Independent Piece. Only about 100 people watched this extraordinary McGrath Cup quarter-final at Limerick's Gaelic grounds, which produced a whopping 9 goals and 34 points. It was all the more remarkable.
The last man back, was it?
As the final quarter...
Scores,
The final quarter was played in virtual darkness and torrential rain, which had briefly delayed the start of the second half.
Jimmy was hiding. No one could find him.
Yeah.
Which game was that? The same game?
That was UL and UCC, yeah. And there's a nice photo here of the late Liam Kearns, who obviously coached you, James, in that UL side.
We get on great. Yeah. He was a great manager for us.
Yeah, really, really sound man. So, that was the... Geez, your UL days keep coming back up. Paddy, I'm going to go looking here for a couple of O'Byrne Cup stories. Or will we just let them go? Because we had that own goal one before. Do you remember?
Yeah. Scored 25 yard on goal.
There must be some good ones. Yeah. There must be some good ones, though.
Because the following year, I was a O'Byrne Cup winning captain. So what a bounce back that was.
There you go.
We were the first university team to win one of the competitions.
Oh, and I'm looking at a photo here as well of you. Jesus, that's a great one.
Yeah,
you look the same.
Less greys, Tommy. Less greys. Yeah, we bet loud, I think. It was the same final again the following year, and we bet loud. Then I was actually captain in a World Cup final a couple of years later for Dublin, and we were fucking beaten in extra time by Kildare.
Oh.
Jim Gavin's first year. Yeah, I think Kildare got a goal towards the end.
Okay.
So would have winning captain with 2 different teams, which I'm almost certain would not have been done before.
Jesus.
But that was the time of my career, exactly like Jimmy said.
It mattered.
You had to come because you're trying to put your stamp on it. And then we went the full other end. But the last O'Byrne Cup game we played was 2016. We had a pretty good team out against Longford, and we lost. Longford hammered us up in Longford, and we were such a disgrace that Jim Gavin pulled us from the O'Byrne Cup forever. After that, we never played it again. I think all the under 21s played the next 3 or 4 years. So 2 different sides of the coin.
Well, Longford have serious O'Byrne Cup pedigree. They actually lost their title this year by the flip of a coin when their game couldn't be played against Westmeath. They won it last year.
They would have been playing. O'Byrne Cup. If you look, I seen the results yesterday. Obviously, down in Newbridge.
Yeah,
that would be nice if Kildare win it in terms of just their upward momentum. Another bit of silverware for Brian Flanagan and that group of players. Not that it's the most important thing, but it just keeps that bit of momentum. Dublin on the other side, totally. I know they were playing another game this weekend, probably more the established frontliners, but for Ger Brennan, the challenge, he has to find 20 players. So the World Cup is a perfect thing for him. to try
Big
and
time.
unearth 2 or 3 of those guys. Tough place to go for a young and experienced team to go to St. Conleth's Park. So will we see 2 or 3 of those guys that were in that Dublin squad in a couple of weeks' time in the National League? We'll have to wait and see. But that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, they'll be up against Donegal in that opening league game. Donegal had an interesting team out against Antrim today, a decent Antrim team as well, and Tyrone bet down in their game too. So, lads, I think we'll leave it there. This week's football pod. We'll be back next week after the All Ireland Club final finishes. We'll have a pod that night. We'll definitely touch on the All Ireland Club final. We'll be looking ahead to the National Football League as well. But as we've mentioned, we'll be bringing you a special podcast on the Wednesday. We'll record it on the Tuesday. It'll be released on the Wednesday.
We do this Tuesday afternoon recording.
I think we'll be going. I think we'll be dictated to by the All Ireland winners themselves. They'll be letting us know when they can do.
You're freezing tea. You're not paying your fucking internet again.
Tuesday
evening, let the victorious team semi-recover from their 2-day session, and we'll rock in, breath of fresh air on a Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. Pick up the spirits.
That sounds like they'll want to see us. Paddy Andrews.
Athlone or Bantry, we'll see.
Well, it's a good sign. It's a good sign to see us. It's a good sign to see us. Paddy, James, anything else before we leave it there?
Good night.
That's it, Tom.
Good work, boys. Talk soon. Thank you.
Fair play, boys.
Cheers for listening, folks. Bye-bye.